Fuck, I should take you in another room and show you my little collection of UFO books and videos. The architects of the underworld, it's all about the monuments and pyramids on Mars and the mathematical, geometrical shapes and see, there's all these pyramids and stuff on Mars, and they make all these weird, like, angles and stuff, but those angles are the key to tetrahedral physics. And once you understand the science of that, that's the secret to space travel and time travel. And what's even more interesting, the big defense contractor that does all the UFO stuff, like for the military and the government, is in La Jolla. And out in front of their building, they have two 8-foot-tall Egyptian statues. And one is holding a pyramid in his hand, and it says the past. And one's holding a pyramid in his hand, and it says the future. And they're big bronze statues in front of this company. And this company, I have on one of these tapes, a girl testifying how they put billions of dollars or millions of dollars into UFO-related programs, and they create them, and they're fake. So when they get audited by the General Accounting Office of the United States government, it just looks like all the money's going into fucking more helicopters, but it's really going into, like, UFO-related programs. And there's Egyptians in front of the building, dude holding pyramids and saying the past and the future. I have people from the government talking about aliens. They're fucking real, you son of a bitch.
So, in Blink, Tom's always, for the past probably 15 years, talked about conspiracy theories. What is his most go-to, you need to know about this conspiracy theory that he shares with you guys?
Where do you start? It could come from anywhere.
Really
one time he pulls us into the room and he starts talking about an intergalactic battle between 52 million years in the future and 48 million years in the future. Somehow they got beef. Okay, somehow, and this guy he's figured out it's like a kaleidoscope, right? You remember this, right?
Yes, I remember.
And it's where they can it's a prism, and they battle through this prism or something. And he's like he's so.
Did it not kind of make sense when I said
no, not.
This is Tom Delonge from Angels and Airwaves. When you kind of piece apart the way the buildings exploded, it seemed to echo the way big buildings are demolition. We can describe that 2 weeks before 9/11, there was teams of people that were entering the World Trade Center doing things that were unknown to most, shutting off the security systems and whatnot. We do know that the buildings were made to withstand incendiary temperatures thousands of degrees more than what was happening when it all went down. We do know that the buildings came down in a fashion extremely similar to a controlled demolition of a building. There's no possible way that it could have happened the way they describe. And we're talking about 60–70% of the American people are actually starting to think that there's a different story. Why are we, as Americans, sitting back and letting this happen to us? I think that this is a huge challenge for Americans to not let them be defined this way, and to actually stand up and do something that can not only better our own life, but better the world.
I'm Tom DeLong, and I want to say thank you for acknowledging some of the hard work I've been putting into some subject matter that concerns us all, and that you're passionate about just like I. It's been a crazy whirlwind of a year or two. There's a lot that I can't say, but there's some that I can. And I'm so appreciative that I've been acknowledged for this stuff, but I'm not done. I'm just like you guys. I've spent 20 years up all night reading about Roswell, Dulce, Serpo, Churchill, the crashes here, Nazis building craft there, and Antarctica, and what's on Mars, and what's on the back of the moon, and structures and anomalous this, and I mean, I've done it all. I know it all. I read all the same authors as you guys, hundreds of books. I look at all the same sites. I listen to all the coast-to-coast stuff that you guys do. I'm the same. But I kind of used some of my notoriety to try and do something pretty ambitious, and it worked. I came out and told you guys about a book I was writing called Secret Machines, and I said a bunch of stuff that I was working with some people. Well, I think a lot of people doubted it, and they thought it was crazy that this musician would have this kind of access. And then the WikiLeaks thing happened, and I think you guys saw that I'm into some serious shit, and I'm making really good progress. I can't tell you what I'm about to announce, if you look at my social media, at least on my Instagram, you'll see that I said there's going to be an announcement in like within the next 60-ish days. I want you all to know in the UFO community that, you know, whoever's passionate about this kind of paradigm shifting subject matter, I need you all to look really, really closely at that announcement, and I need you to be a part of it. Because what that announcement is about is so much more than it will look like on the surface. And I need you guys to come along for the ride. You have to be a part of it, and you'll see what that means when the announcement comes out. But I want you, as an educated group of people, to read between the lines and look at the history of what I've been doing over the past couple years and get a sense for what the hell I'm getting ready to do. If you guys come along for the ride, it's going to be pretty fantastic. I'll leave you with one thing. My job has only just begun on this subject matter, and there's some big shit planned, and I'm excited about it. Just remember that whatever happens in the civilian world, it's game on. Okay? Remember that. Thank you, and have a good night.
So, when did you get obsessed with this aerial threat thing? And why do you call them threats?
We'll get into that, I guess.
Okay.
I got into it when I was in junior high. For some weird reason, I had like some time off and I went to the school library in like 7th grade, and I was like, damn, I'm gonna read some boring shit. What am I gonna read? And I saw this one book, and it had a picture of the Loch Ness Monster in like a UFO. I'm all, that looks cool. And I read that, and I was like, holy cow, these are like real. It wasn't all science fiction. I mean, the way the book was laid out, I was like, these are like real events. I'm all, there's no way, really? And then when the band started doing its thing in the back of the van, there were no like smartphones, so we were buying books, and I would just lay there. We'd have like 20-hour drives, and so I started buying books on the UFO phenomenon. And I was, once you do that, it's a black hole. You're done.
Yeah, it's definitely a rabbit hole. You get sucked into it. At my house, I have a framed poster that's the cover of the Roswell Daily News. That shows the day after the Roswell crash, where it says that the Air Force came and recovered the wreckage, and you know the whole deal. I've been obsessed with this shit since I was a little kid.
Yeah, I think that's by design. I think that this generation was meant to have this stuff come out, but you know, I can't prove that. That's just my feeling.
What makes you feel that? Like,
because of exactly what you said. There's a lot of people. I don't believe that some of the events happened on accident. You know, I think that there's been a lot of events that are on purpose. Some have been for show. Some have been for. I mean, there's a variety of reasons, but I think a lot of it is a control system that's really pushing humanity in a very specific direction. And
so like they've got a time frame where they've had these events take place. Is that what you think?
Yeah, and they also time travel, which is different than what people think in like a movie where they sit in a machine and all of a sudden you're in the 1930s and you got to go save humanity. When you use the technology, you have there's a time difference between what they're doing inside of an artificially created bubble of gravity of sorts, and then what's on the outside. So if you're on the inside of one of those machines, everything would be skewed more black and white. There'd be like a red shift, and everybody would look frozen. So you literally could fly around and grab a Coke out of someone's hand and put it in someone else's hand. It's really...
Where are you getting this from?
Well, take a wild guess. Look at the people I'm surrounded by, you know.
So the people you're surrounded by are telling you this? Is that what it is?
Well, I don't want to get into that, but the people I'm surrounded with and myself, you know, are very close to this stuff. But the physics, you know, the physicist that's a co-founder of my company, To the Star, he's a Nobel nominee. He wrote the book on plasma physics.
What's his name?
Hal Puthoff, Dr. Hal Puthoff. And he created remote viewing. Do you know what remote viewing is?
Yeah.
He's the creator of the CIA psychic spy program, but he also has done like really exotic, advanced forefront propulsion work for the past
decades and decades, actually. I mean, he's deep into the, like, quantum this and that. So he's the one that actually told me about the redshift.
There's a consciousness aspect to this. Like, you have to think of, like, consciousness is like, it's like the mind of God, you know. It's not a dude in a toga with a crown of thorns making Jupiter, you know. It's like everything you see is one band of frequencies. The highest frequency is light, unified mind. The lowest frequency would be blackness, absence of love, absence of whatever. And physical matter is somewhere right in the middle, right? So you have the ability to tune up higher or tune down lower, and behavior and all these things and time, and it all fucking comes together. But what it means also is that your brain is what's called a transducer. You're an antenna. Consciousness.
That's what I was saying to
Duncan Trussell.
Yeah, Duncan Trussell.
So you create matter, and when you think something, it creates it. And you're not reactionary to your environment. You're actually proactive, and you just don't know it. So it really matters what you choose to see and feel, because that's literally what's being created for you. And people don't know this shit. So when you're like really into some crazy shit, the universe will start creating things, and we just think it's paranormal. Like, for example, at UCLA, they were studying poltergeist events, and they found out that you can see a book move on the shelf and it scares you. But if you see a book move on the shelf and it scares the shit out of you, that book will then fly off the shelf and try and hit you. So the more scared you get, the more shit starts happening. And they didn't know why. Well, the reason is you're a transducer of your environment. You're an antenna plugging into all these frequencies. And once you go, oh, that book is moving, it'll move. You know, so it's fucking crazy. It's like our universe, it's just not what we think it is. And the whole thing with UFOs is that they're fucking around with us because of that, you know?
Is it not, we're not, I think of UFO as like a vehicle,
right,
which aliens are gonna travel in.
Yeah. And
so should we not be using the term aliens?
Yeah, alien
UFO?
is hard only because it's like, that makes us think it's coming from Mars or some shit, or a different planet. These are more like entities. These are more like, a lot of them are, there's like clones that are like just fucking, like, you think we made Dolly the sheep, and we think that we're like, you think that's all we've done in the 60s, we cloned a sheep? We might be a little bit more advanced than that. So what is something else that's super advanced, doing AI and creating things that can fly around and tamper? Well, are they little program bots? Well, where's like the mainframe? Well, maybe the ship is alive in a mainframe, biological organism, but it's metal and whatever, but there's an intelligence to it because it's so advanced.
So the theory that they started showing up at the time we did nuclear weapons, they're not here to protect us, they're, because that would be like not interdimensional, that'd be from like outer space.
No, not dimensional, because the one thing we found out is that the EMP wave from a nuclear blast kind of travels through multiple dimensions. So it's like that energy is fucking up whatever's in that location, and maybe those people are like, what the fuck was that? Let's materialize into that other timeline and get those motherfuckers to stop. But the reality is, too, is UFOs have been around forever. Like, you're talking biblical, you're talking religions, you're talking
the pyramids.
The pyramids, you're talking the Star of Bethlehem is not a star. The sun is big. The Star of Bethlehem is like a little ball of light that 3 dudes on horses followed for days, and it hovered over a manger. So think about that. What is that? Ezekiel's wheels, you know, Fatima in Portugal. All these religious events are always the same thing, and you got to then go, well, what are they doing? What is happening from that? Well, we start cults. We go crazy. We create different religions. We have different belief systems. We get really scared because they prophesize the end of the world. They tell you that if you do something wrong, you're going to go burn in hell for eternity. But if you listen to what that voice is in your head, that's God. So do that. And then someone hears a burning bush and they go and start a religion. You know, it's like holograms and technologies and making people not be together, you know, making us think that there's a dude like Allah or Jesus that created the universe versus source intelligence. There's just like your bandwidth, your fiber optic cable just to like consciousness, which is like the one power that powers the atom, that permeates everything. And we're all from it. But as long as we think it's a dude and that group over there thinks it's a different dude, we're going to hate each other. And we don't really evolve and we don't really grow spiritually, you know?